Here.
Can't hear me.
Live, guys. Come on, behave
We're
yourselves.
live, and apparently you can't hear me.
Oh,
Good
no.
afternoon, good morning,
We
good
can
evening,
hear you.
wherever you
We
are
can
in the
hear you.
world. You can hear me. Hello. Well, the power's just arrived back. Anyway.
Don't worry, Gary. We'll be there in 6 months as well, so don't worry.
Yeah, I know. The power cuts have been getting a little bit very amusing here. We did have 27 hours. I think it was last Thursday into Friday or Wednesday into Thursday. I don't know. But yeah, 27 hours straight, and now look, I've still got my school. I've still got my school shirt on. Anyway,
Pull your socks up, that boy.
pull myself exactly. I'll be in trouble. Well, here we are then. So this new DJI thing. Someone explain that to me. What's coming?
Isn't
There's a
that
few things coming, I believe. The Mavic 3 standard is around the corner, but the new OcuSync system, which that isn't, that's just a blank, but that is apparently its size, should possibly be here by Friday. But I think me and Bruce, unless Bruce has been sent one, are probably the only people who haven't been sent this. I can openly say I haven't, and I know 5 people who've reached out to me who have been sent this now.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, right, okay. So I know a bunch of people who have, yet my blacklist with DJI continues.
And by association, so does mine.
No. And yours has increased tremendously this week. Come on, you showed all the secrets, Ian.
Yeah, well, we tore the avatar down yesterday, although that video went live at the wrong time. Probably ideal for Bruce, but I set it to 6 a.m. instead of 6 p.m. I woke up this morning thinking, why am I getting comments on this? Hold on a minute. Oh, it's gone live at the wrong time. Oh, dear. So, but yeah, we tore the avatar down because no one had done it. And I've just finished uploading all the images to repair.wiki as well. Finn literally was doing that whilst we were waiting to go on air. All the images are on repair.wiki for everyone to go and see as well, sharing DJI secrets. But no, O3 is coming, although I'm hearing a lot of not bad, but problematic things. It's overheating very, 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 very fast. So we're going to have to wait and see. But I haven't seen it firsthand, so it's not fair of me to say it is or it isn't completely. I don't know. What I do know is I haven't been sent one of these and a nice free set of $600 goggles from DJI like everyone else has. So it'll be interesting to see how they word the problems that I'm aware of there, because there are obviously in these situations you always have the people who talk in the background and going, you know, look, this is not good, but how that translates into the reviews will be interesting. And not for the people I know. The people I know are open and honest, and they'll say how it is. Probably might be the last product they get from DJI, in fact. But it will be interesting to see how, if what I've heard is right, how that's going to get faded away with the promise of £600 or dollar set of goggles, which I already own and have bought and paid for. So frankly, I don't give a toss what I say about them.
But they'll think of the aftermarket stuff. I mean, the little avatar that new motors, you know, people making a fortune out of new motors for the OcuSync 3 unit.
Well, Bruce, I have actually done it. I don't know, Gary, can you share an image? I don't know where there. Let me just.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Let me just find this a minute. I have actually got some exclusive images of the upcoming DJI.
Ian,
if I share my screen, Gary,
doesn't it seem possible that the OcuSync 3 is just that's one of the boards of the avatar?
Not yes and no. Funny enough, we were looking at that just now, and they won't actually quite fit, unfortunately. All right, if I do that and then do that, I don't know.
Add to stream. I just added that without. Oh, look at that.
So this is going to be the version 1 of the OcuSync 3 system with an Octua cooler. And for those who want to upgrade their system, we already have the option. Wait, let me bring it up. For those who like RGB, we're going to have a water-cooled version available for you as well, which you'll be able to purchase as well if you want to make sure that your system is optimally cool.
Are you sure? I think the size is the same size as the 4090.
It's the same
video
it's the same
card.
power usage as a 4090, Louis.
And
Yeah.
there's a reason they've launched it in the lead up to winter.
But no, I am hearing it's getting very hot, but we'll have to see. We're going to have to see. I will have one. If the second I can buy one, I will buy one. And as always, I'll say how it is. It's interesting that clearly they don't want to put it in my hands, which is quite interesting because I've seen some of the numbers of the channels they've sent this to, and you know the quarter. Some of the channels are very small, you know, not big at all, and they're good people. But it's clearly interesting that everything I know at the moment is they've circled around everyone around
that might
me,
say something about
me.
it.
It's not as if I'd say anything bad about DJI. Why didn't they send me one? I don't know.
But it's quite funny, Bruce. You know, I've centered the channel a lot on digital FPV. Do you know what I mean? Now, you know, look, I think it's probably fair to say I'm probably one of the top 2 channels that covers digital FPV. You know, from a technical standpoint, and you know, JB is always going to be up there. Chris Rosser has a bit, myself. I'm certainly going to be in one of the top 3s. So they've seemed to have gone round and round me with a bunch of people, but they've gone. It might have been the video that I labeled "Why I Hate DJI." Perhaps.
No, come on.
So you go and change the title to "Why I Love DJI a Little Less."
Yeah.
But it's coming. Apparently, we're going to have to wait and see. It's nothing exciting.
But all my existing stuff will stop working.
No. Well, your DJI stuff might, because they might push an update.
I'll have to fly with my head hung in shame at the airfield that I don't have the latest and greatest. What will I do?
I'm one of the top 2 people ignored by DJI. I think there's 3 of us, me, Sean, and Bruce. But it'll be what it'll be. It'll be out. It's interesting because the other system is finally. I've tested the new firmware for the Avatar system, and actually, I'm probably ready to take that out of beta status now. I'm comfortable in saying it's okay now. The beta firmware has solved most of the problems. I still have a bee in my bonnet over their certification, and it's an interesting comment because people say, well, why do people care about certification? Well, they've put the label on the box. So for me, it's that simple. If you're going to put the label on the box, then it needs to be. If they didn't,
you mean the CE marking isn't real either?
China export's always real.
You know, and that's the thing, isn't it? If you're going to put a label on the box, you got to comply. You know, otherwise, just don't put the label on the box.
Wow.
This is China we're talking about.
China export one or the CE compliant one?
China.
There are 2 Cs, as you know.
Yeah. It's but no. And other than that, there's talk about this. Obviously, Mavic 3 standard. The Enterprise looks a nice bit of kit. I did have a start looking at some content on the Mavic 3 Enterprise. And, you know, it's easy to say DJI do a lot bad, but no one can get near them in that side. You look at their ready-to-fly platforms with thermal cameras and stuff. They are kicking everyone out the door. They really, really are. They're doing some very, very good stuff in that segment.
And,
would you think the new Mavic will be C-rated of any kind?
They are speaking about getting a C1 rating on the Mavic 3.
So, yes. The current one, we know they can do the firmware twist and make it work.
It would have to be the same, Mark, because I don't think there's any changes other than camera, and it's not going to take the weight down enough to make a difference. So it's going to be in the same classification, I would think, as the current model.
Which would be great. So if they manage to put the C1 mark on the aircraft, because the only thing missing off the current Mavic 3 is the actual label that says it's a C1.
Yeah.
If they were to do that, even if it's imprinted into the plastic itself as part of the casing, they went, it's C1, it's marked, job's done.
I don't think we'll see it yet, though, because they could do that on anything coming off production today, couldn't they? Do you know what I mean? You know, they could literally anything off production. You know, they've got that list of drones, haven't they? So they could literally just go, right, we're going to stamp C into the side of each of these with.
The thing is, look at their lineup of industrial drones. So if they go Mavic 3 Enterprise with a C rating, what happens to the M30 and what happens to the M300? So they'll have to do a concerted effort to get all those drones on C ratings. And also, there's something strange here. The price point of the Enterprise Mavic 3, it's just too damn close to the other ones. So it becomes a very weird choice.
How much is it, Louis? How much is it, Louis?
Close enough.
Is it what, to the M30? Because the M30 is like 10K, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
it's going to be 5K, is it 6K?
I think it's 6 or 7, isn't it? As you say, it's, for anyone spending that sort of money, $3,000 here and there isn't
exactly.
A lot, is it?
So the price points are getting they're compressing the price points. I don't know. Come on, who would pay 7K for a Mavic with a thermal camera and instead of going to an M30? No, I come on. I only buy cheap drones. But that's a weird positioning of their drones. Perhaps they can put it all at the same price, and that would be a funny thing. So you would have a choice of the one most appropriate.
It's a high resolution on it as well, isn't it? I'm just looking now. It's 640 by 510, so they've not exactly underdone the sensor, and it's radiometric.
Yeah.
So they've not really limited it, have they? Do you know what I mean?
No. If you look at the camera specs, you go, what? Where have I seen this? And you go to the M30. Oh, so something's wrong here, or it's right, depending.
Just complying to DJI. It's too cheap. Put the price up.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting because there's a bit of what is interesting at the moment, and it will be interesting to see how it affects DJI. Is you're beginning to see the price crunch hit FPV. We've started to see some sales happening. Fat Shark are doing some discounts on their goggles. So our Walk Snail, we're starting to see pricing slip because things are not selling, and it's going to be interesting to see how this global recession that we are heading into, there's no question about it affects
Are
DJI.
you sure? Come on, they're selling avatars like crazy. The remote control is out of order everywhere. So either they are going to launch a new controller that perhaps has, I don't know, whatever it has, but there's something strange even on DJI online shop. The availability of products is crazy.
Yeah.
So,
China's still struggling, mind, aren't they? We don't think they're in particularly good shape over there.
oh come on, they have their Congress, so everything is good now. So
yes, they marched that chap out, didn't they?
Yeah.
I was quite impressed.
He wasn't feeling well.
No, and he probably isn't now, is it? He's probably feeling very unwell now.
He's probably being flown to Russia to fall out of a building as we speak.
Yeah. I mean, quite amazing. I was just looking up because teal drones. You mentioned Fat Shark. Let's put this up there.
Isn't the share price exciting?
Yeah, I was talking about that on Sunday when it's Red Cat are a weird company because have they actually done anything other than buy companies? You get a bunch of VC money and you spend that money.
Corporate
That's
raiders.
the point they're in at the moment, isn't it? And they've spent it all. So the question is, and now is actually crunch time for them. Now is time where, they were down, I think, by their last accounts to like 5 or 10 million, which, is chump change in their world.
It's a day's coffee, isn't it?
It is. And it'll be interesting to see now how are they going to turn all of this into money? Because we know Rotor Riot loses money. Okay, Rotor Riot doesn't make money. I don't think it's made money yet, even with the store. You know, how are you making money on a $20, $30, $40 flight controller? A set of goggles that cost $600 with the margins 10%, 5%. You know, that's not. You know, even Bruce, with the YouTube
AdSense revenue. It's all down to AdSense revenue, mate.
Yeah.
That's where they're making a killing.
But even then,
Well,
they're still not making huge money, are they? Let's be honest. On even if they're getting 100,000 view videos, they're not paying for all of that. You know, the production crew, the people, there's a big operation. So that leaves Teal and Fat Shark. And Fat Shark numbers for the last time weren't particularly great, and they've got these new goggles which we don't think are selling well. So that leaves Teal. And
then there's $1 million worth of drones. That's not a lot when you're pricing them at selling for military sort of prices.
Yeah, what are they? 60 to 100K a piece, Gary? Do we think
something like that? Yeah. So I thought blanket purchase agreement, US.
It's only 10 aircraft, isn't it? Do you know what if you think about it?
Yeah, that's what caught my eye with that. Not that it's 1 million. It was, that's not a lot, really. No. I know. Of course, I'd like $1 million in my bank account. But if if you look at them, if you look at their last video, which was quite interesting, the scale Teal are at now, they've just moved into a larger premises. Their staff numbers were looking maybe 30 to 50. You know, there was a lot of people there. So as you say, 1 million doesn't touch the their payroll. Will swallow that.
Yeah, big burn.
Yeah. So they've got to do a lot of aircraft to be able to think that. And it will be interesting to see where the Red Cat project ends up, because so far it's all been spend. But
I think they should get into eVTOL, AAM. That's where their future is.
Absolutely. There's
just look at Whisk.
Well, there's been another flying car this week. I've forgotten the name of it, but something with wheels, it looks.
Did you see the CNET video? Did you see the CNET video on Whisk? I think it was filmed in New Zealand. The reporter, I think she was New Zealand girl, the CNET video on Whisk, and they shows you this latest iteration of the Whisk craft. And it looks great, fantastic. And then she admits, well, it's just a mock-up.
Yeah. Mentioned in the comments, Carl says, what about the EB? I think you did say EB? Ag Eagle. And that's interesting that they're on that RID compliance list, 25th of the 10th. That's today, isn't it? Yeah, that's today. But look, we're going to go back all the way back to the 12th and the Autel stuff. It's not a huge, it's 3 pages, but there's only 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8 on a page, 16, 24. It's only 24 types have come forward and said they're compliant. I found very interesting. Because everybody should be there now, shouldn't they?
Well, and I watched the AMA's video, their stream this morning, and they were saying, no, they're pretty clever, because these someone in the comments, I think, the plug and play products, which should have standard remote ID, they won't ship them with a battery, so it'll be a kit. It won't have to have standard remote ID.
Oh no, come on. Well, of course, today's the day, or not today, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, that they the FAA finally said this is what you need to become a CBO, Mark's got to go. All right, Mark, take care, thanks very much, and we'll see you soon. 16,000 feet, we haven't even got to that one. The means to comply. So was that what the AMA, which I didn't realize they were having a live stream, were they chatting about that, Bruce?
Yeah, about how they're going to set up the freers and how they're going to apply for CBO, just things and so forth. And it's just like they're just sitting back there accepting everything that's thrown at them, and it's all good for the hobby. No, it's all good for the AMA, and that's really about it, because you won't be able to register your backyard as a freer, or anything like that.
No, the freers have to be a communal area where more than one person flies, and the AMA was worried that if everyone rushed out and got their backyard registered as a freer, and it was close to one of their flying fields, then the FAA would not allow them to register the flying field because of the close proximity to the freers. It's just a dog's breakfast. It really is a nightmare. When I think about it, we used to fly model aircraft in fields happily. Now we have to register the model. We have to sit an exam.
We have to get remote ID technology fitted. We have to fly at an authorized flying area. It's like, my goodness, how much has changed in 20 or 30 short years.
So what's going to be the requirement then, Bruce? Because obviously there has been people talking about getting their areas set up as one. So private individuals are not going to be able to do this then?
Well, they do give a number of reasons why you would have it declined. One is if it was near a sensitive site, or if it was in a military area or something. So they've given a few criteria why you might not be granted freer status. But the AMA is saying we don't want people registering in their own private properties because it could impose a restriction on us getting freer status for our fields. So it's, I don't know, it just seems stupid that you have to have an area registered with the government in order to fly a model airplane there without having to have all this technology tacked onto the back of it.
Oh God, Bruce, don't worry. You'll get your remote ID dongle, and you'll be they'll be able to see when you misbehave. So
this is it's all the time. They don't need a dongle for that. If I'm awake, I'm misbehaving
on a Monday. Yeah, people have completely missed this thing and the whole freer thing. They completely haven't taken this on board, as they haven't taken on board remote ID either. The general model aircraft population just hasn't paid attention. I'm convinced of that. The constant.
But it was interesting because Rich Hansen, the head of the AMA, he was talking about, well, you've got to be, you can fly to freer, and he mentioned the network connectivity. I'm thinking, Rich, you don't even know how this works. There's no network connectivity. Have you been? Yes, he was asleep, but obviously he didn't wake recently.
But did he not realise that we're not going that way yet, or was he just actually revealing what he knows to be going to happen shortly?
It could have been either, but he did sleep through that very important meeting, so he's probably just unaware that things, the NPRM didn't go through unchanged. I don't know. It's terrible.
No, it is terrible. And, once again, I'm very glad that America's experimenting with these things and not anyone else. He
did make a good comment, though, that probably the model shops are going to be filled with sub-250 craft from this point forward. You won't be seeing much in the way of larger craft because it's just too much of a hassle with all this stuff, extra technology. And the price point will also change because of the extra technology that has to be put in, standard remote ID for ready-to-flies, all that sort of stuff, and modules and so forth. It's if I have a 251-gram DLG or 300-gram DLG, I have to put a remote ID, I have to add another ounce or so of weight to put a remote ID transmitter on that. Why?
Yeah, because they're going to type out. Folks have been ThinkFlight. Folks have been chatting about your Krana plan video where gravity won before we started. So you might be getting some flack about that. If you haven't seen ThinkFlight's brilliant channel, you must disappear off there. And even now, you might as well. It's better than watching this. He's got a fantastic channel, some great engineering stuff. And you'll see what they were talking about that. People were thinking, hang on, let me find one of the, here we are. Here's one of the comments for you. So yeah, you might get some flack for that. Yeah, the whole freer thing, if you really don't know, is you're going to have to fly there. You're going to need to be in an area controlled by a community-based organization, which I think it is until this weekend, they hadn't really defined the requirements for getting it, and nobody is one yet. No one has that signed off. And funnily enough, that's one of the things that the Red Cat crowd are off doing, isn't it? All their old lot. What's the name? Where they've got that flight park,
flight test, the flight park thing. Yeah,
they're very, very much. I think they've been quite disappointing with their lack of proper.
But the FAA has been very, very clever. It's offered, incentives, you might say, just to come our way. We'll give you the CBO thing. We'll give you the freer thing. And they're buying them off. They really are buying them off. And it was so interesting to see at that the appointment of those new members on the AA, whatever it is, that the hobby's been totally kicked off now. There's no one from the hobby on. It's totally a commercial free for all, and we've just been totally sidelined. Nobody seems to care. The other thing is that we don't have any groups. I dropped in on the FPV Freedom Coalition's regular online stream, you know, sort of, what do they call it, their town hall meeting. And there were 6 people in the chat. 6 people actually took part in that, which out of the entire population of America, FPV flies, 6 people. Seriously, people just don't seem to care. I think a lot of them are going to fly under the radar. Speaking of which, I have to put a shout in for Bot Grinder. He's setting up what may be the future of the hobby, an FPV park. He wants to buy some land, set up an FPV park where you can go and fly your models. And I think that is a really good thing. I want to do the same thing in New Zealand, but not just a place where you can go and fly your models, but where you can go and fly your models with special exemptions from rules that need not apply in a place like that, where there's not going to be any manned aircraft, where there's no unauthorized people. You can have much more freedom there safely. So we need to push back and start creating areas of our own, which are solely for model flying. In manned aviation, sorry, you're not invited. You keep a wide berth. And so you can fly FPV without spotters. You can go above 400 feet. You can do all the things that you can't legally do anywhere else with impunity in an area like that. And if the regulators want to ensure the survival of the hobby and they want to ensure people are safe, they have to provide areas. I mean, you buy a car that'll do 150 miles an hour on the open highway, and you can't do it because the law says you can only do it with 50 or 60 miles an hour. But you can go on a racetrack and drive that thing as fast as you like. Now, you've got a drone that'll fly 14 kilometers and it'll go to 5,000 feet. But there's nowhere on the planet you can do that legally. We need these safe areas where people can do their burnouts and their drifts with their drones equivalent. But they're not being offered. We need to force the hand of regulators to give us those places. That's my rant for today.
There's a quick place to do that.
Type into just.
There's a quick place
nobody
to
has
get
a free
yourself a boat and navigate to beyond 12 miles off the coast. Problem solved. You can fly as much as you want.
Yeah, but it's hard doing touch and goes without floats.
But nobody actually has a freer yet. Nobody. I'm pretty sure I can say that. Nobody can claim to have a freer yet, can they? No, I didn't think so. It's a terrible situation, but they did remove that thing where they were going to, if once you stopped using a freer, then you couldn't reapply for it again. That all went by the wayside.
Yeah, that'll disappear. They're not going to age out. And to answer Sean, your bot did talk about possibly having a freer allocation for that, but the problem is that then you have to agree to operate under a safety, one of the things becoming a CBO, you've got to have a safety set of rules and regulations and things so the FAA can be sure that you're going to have safe flying at your freer. I can't see Bot Grinder rolling those out. And I don't think, because he also talked about having AMA insurance. And again, if you've got AMA insurance, it's only valid if you're following AMA rules. And people flying freestyle, they're not going to follow AMA rules, So you might as well just discount that and say, no, we don't want to. If you're going to do that, you might as well go and fly at an AMA field. What's the point in having your own park where you can do all the cool things you want to do if you're bound by the same rules as the AMA field down the road? So I think we have to have some breakaway things, which are that they have to be areas where you have exemptions from a lot of the rules which don't have to apply to keep things safe in a controlled environment like that.
A shocker, isn't it? It's just a shocker. Now, Mark was mentioning 16,000 feet earlier, and that's this yet another sighting of a drone at a very great altitude and within 10 feet, wasn't it, or something like that?
It's amazing how accurate those pilots are. They can see at that closing speed of how many knots are they closing at, and they can judge at 10 feet. Wasn't 9.5, wasn't 11, it was 10 feet. So accurate. Yet they crash into other airplanes while they're taxiing on the damn ground.
Yes, absolutely. Another terrible report, and as the other Ian pointed out, it was again very naughty verbiage from the CA and the acts of the AOB report. Just using language to suggest that might have happened, and not throwing out anything, just allowing the press to run with it. I thought we were coming to the end of those reports. I thought pilots were not being as brave. You wonder what else it got wrong in the cockpit.
And don't the media just run with it? You see the Daily Mail story, a black UAV, and they got a picture of a Phantom 4. Do they not know that the Phantom 4 is not black? It's just terrible.
Yeah.
You have the Obsidian one. That's the special black model. So
yes. But up there at 16,000 feet. And I know Geeks is going to do, it's a little bit of a sideline thing, but almost related. I know he's going to do a video. I don't know what his video on Gatwick is, but I've heard a couple of things myself about Gatwick recently that's making me think at the probably very soon, when there's a huge amount of political turmoil still, or even more political turmoil in England, for whatever reason, some stuff's going to come out about it. I think we're very close to some truths coming out. Ian's found out some amazing things that coincide with some stuff we heard right in the
Do you
beginning.
think people are more
They
interested
don't
in
care.
that
They don't
than,
care. The damage is
than
done.
on the current Downing Street 10 Airbnb thing? So
Oh, I think if anything is going to come out, it'll come out and there's bound to be plenty of opportunity for more nonsense. So it'll sneak out then. But I think we're coming to a close. Unfortunately, the damage is done, and it's like this 16,000-foot thing. It doesn't actually, you know, I'm sure there wasn't anything up there. It was probably another bin bag. It was black, but the damage is done. It's what the public think. The public perceive that that's what's happening all the time. Get those rogue drones, etc., etc., etc. The damage is done.
I'm pleasantly surprised that the media hasn't latched onto the risks of recreational drones dropping explosives in the Western world. You know, they seem to have, it's happening in the theatre of war, but they're not trying to translate that into, oh, it could happen in your street. You know, eventually they will, I suppose, when the Ukraine thing dies down. They got nothing else to write about.
Will the lettuce outlast the Gatwick drones? Yes, hurrah for the lettuce. I just happened to be online, or we actually have power when that happened, and I laughed at that lettuce thing. That made me. Whoever came up with that was fantastic, fantastic. Oh, squishy saying 16K feet is actually pretty easy. It is, yeah, I suppose it is, but spotting it isn't, surely. As Bruce says, at such a heck of a speed. So yes, whilst you might get up there, certainly spotting it isn't. Now, what else? I forgot what I wanted to talk to.
we can always say it was an Iranian drone. So uncontrolled Iranian drone.
Again, it's just exceptionalism all around. They sent us their competition. I think it was in 2010 or 2011. And said, won't you publish this? We published it, and we said, gosh, at the time, did I say this last week? I think I probably did. Gosh, that beats any AEVSI competitions hands down. Look how complex it is. And everyone chuckled and said, no way Iran can do that. And guess what? They could, they can, they have, they did. And so they've been running a pretty good program for a long time now. Okay,
they reverse engineered that US drone that crashed. Yeah, that's what they did.
A lot of it's copies for sure, but then why wouldn't you? Just why wouldn't you? That's what I also don't get. This finger pointing and now. Look, they've copied this. Well, why not? It's just why not?
By the way, has anyone noticed any further developments or feedback of that data leak of DJI?
No. Yeah.
No.
The proof of how safe we are.
Well, we said it would come and go, and it did come and go, didn't it? DJI did manage to suppress that very, very nicely. That didn't run in any of the
mainstream media
things or mainstream media. It just, that story's gone. Off it goes. We knew that was going to happen, and it did. I guess any story that arrives on a Thursday/Friday, it struggles to make it to next Monday these days, really.
I think it's time for me to do my OcuSync teardown, not OcuSync. What's it called? Aeroscope teardown video from the images that were posted. That's one I need to get done.
Yeah,
that'll upset them.
And John talking about Norway, that was interesting, wasn't it? What was it in Sweden? That all the speeding cameras, lots of them were nicked to get the Canon cameras out of them. That was pretty interesting for the Orlan 10. And then so there's been a lot of critical infrastructure inspection by Russian companies recently.
Dump your washing machines down, eh?
And washing machines, they've been getting parts out of those, haven't they? So that is interesting. People are spotting it. Yeah,
we haven't heard any more about Nord Stream, have we? Neither. You know, they should have had things down there by now.
I read a report. Yeah, they've got underwater footage. I read a report they found a drone with some explosives on it in that vicinity, underwater drone with explosives on it.
Yeah, Bruce. Yeah.
Could have been the Daily Mail, though.
The cable cut to Saxiford up to the Shetlands to where our big airborne early warning centre is. That was pretty interesting. Not airborne early warning, ground-based radar stuff, but Saxiford. Yeah, stuff is going on. And there's no doubt, I mean, every single report you see of Ukraine now, you see some Ukrainian or Russian, one from either side with a DJI this, DJI that, and using them. So it's
and all the streaming providers are putting their prices up. There's a connection.
All the streaming, are they? Oh no. I haven't noticed that. Oh, blast.
It's only a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time. So what else were we going to talk about? What else have we seen? I'm all a kerfuffle because of this super late
Well, no, this industry is getting boring now. It's the same old, same old. Nothing much happens, actually, It's pretty quiet.
Not many press releases in the last week, actually.
Press releases are all either fluff or wishful thinking or another venture capitalist wanting to throw away money.
Yeah, I checked on the dark web. No one's taken up the contract that DJI put out on Ian, so he's safe for the time being.
I didn't trust you to check on the dark web. Couple of interesting open source projects are kicking about.
Have you seen the one?
I saw the one. Yeah, that's. I was trying my best to sort of smoothly get into that. Then, so that's this one. Here it is. Here it comes.
Because Marco Robustini has done open source this one, and he's been working quite a lot on this one, and it's very, very, very nice. So I'm firing up my 3D printer to start doing it, and let's see what comes out of it. But knowing Marco, and from his experience working with Autopilot, I think it's something to be taken and look at carefully because it's something very good. And it was very nice of him to do open source this. So I've shared with you the link on GitHub where you can see.
Yes, I put it up. I've put it in the comments as well, and then let's also put up this one while we're here.
Do we like 3D printed airframes? I always thought 3D printing was too brittle and crappy for airframes.
No, it depends on how you print it, Bruce. Come on.
TPU is too heavy.
Yeah, I think foam board is. I think the other materials are vastly underrated. 3D printing is great, but not for everything in the world. This is also interesting. This open lander landing obstacle detection using one of those things, and that's open source and out there. Let's put that in the description as well. So that's a very useful thing, that Oak one, and there's a story on that and all the stuff that also came out today. So people are putting some great stuff out there for us.
I don't know if you noticed that lots of the new things that are coming up we have a very large number of them that work directly or I've had the helping hand of Autopilot. So and the connectivity with Autopilot is guaranteed. Come on, even those crazy gimbals that Seaweed does with all those radios. So out of the box connectivity with the Autopilot, we've been doing quite some interesting things on the project.
So yeah, Tridge's been working hard with Foxtech and sorting out a lot of the issues, which is fantastic. And Foxtech seem to be lapping it up as well and enjoying it. So that's going well. I wouldn't mind guessing that Foxtech might go something like, how might it go? It might go DJI, DJI. No, I might go DJI, Foxtech, then everybody else now. I reckon they're selling quite a few airframes of different sorts all over the place.
Their goal is quite different, and they're going to enter where, for instance, hotel is with the drone fish or whatever it's called.
Yes.
So, but yeah, their VTOL of hotel just also costs a harm and a great part of 2 legs. The big one. I mean, the big one.
Flying fish, or whatever it's called. Dragonfish.
Dragonfish.
Yeah.
Swordfish. Something fish. And it's not fishy. It's not fishy. It works. And it works extremely well. I was on a training flight for some military guys that were using that, and it was very, very impressive. But Foxtech is clearly going on that area. And if you look at the drones for agriculture, which are the big ones because of the payload they'll have to take, it's funny.
That's not what I meant to do. What I meant to do was copy that link, but I can't. That's right. I'd forgotten the comments in this. You can't easily copy them out. I'll have to look at that after, Jim. I don't know what that is. Check that VTOL out. Put it in plain text, because I can't get to that video. The comments from this. It's a crazy system, crazy problem with this StreamYard thing. So just put it in plain, and I'll try and find it, Jim. What other things have I seen this week? Let's have a look. Let's look at the Drone News website, just in case you had anything interesting on there. No, not really. Nothing really. Nothing really all that. I thought the water sample thing was quite interesting. I think I'll put this up as well. I thought this was interesting. Let's get this up. This thing here. Just because it does seem like a very sensible use case. I know it's dull, and that sort of again highlights how the industry is maturing. That very many dull use cases are coming out. That's kind of perfect to me, because that's what we need, just sensible day-to-day jobs that need to be done, and it's quite a convenient way of doing it. And this is the neatest one I've seen to date. There's quite a few which are just sensors on a big stick, and you come in, but this is the one. I don't think this includes this one winches down the little bottle and takes it up again. So I thought that was quite a nice thing. But other than that, let's see. Has Jim? No, Jim hasn't told us yet. He's not told us what it is. Go, Jim. Go. Come on. Tell us, Jim. Just type it. No. Oh, all right. Kalugo sauce. Quick. Someone else talk while I'm typing.
I put it in the private comments. Private chat.
Have you done it? Oh, you're a good man. It's not true what they say about you. All right, let me bring that up into our world, and we can all watch it together. Here it is here. And you can... Is that showing now? I'm looking the other way.
We are at the beginning of a new era in human history, an era which humanity is moving from two-dimensional transportation to four-dimensional transportation, the eVTOL era.
Yes, I did see that.
In this era, aircraft will move in droves and fill the sky.
Do you know what I thought?
Fill the skies. I didn't know the skies were empty.
I thought they're going to have one little problem. As I know the person that owns the patent for this part, this shape here. So that'll be interesting. See if he enforces it. Can you hear the audio on this? 35 knots.
Perfect for basket weaving.
Wow. Look at the
The aircraft
movement
they're
on
more
that.
efficient and more safe. They save energy, they save money, they save time.
Kolugov's art provides an advantage in all types of uses and missions.
Specs. There's some specs.
There's a funny one a bit ahead. Let's just say that there's one that is the fashionable one.
The fashionable one.
Yeah, no. If you go ahead, you'll see an image of
Okay.
one that looks like one of those personal carriers, whatever you want to call them.
Personal carrier.
.3D renderings. Who'd have known?
No, there we go.
Yeah.
Must be uncomfortable with a spar through your shoulder.
Yeah. At least they could have done some backgrounds instead of the gray backgrounds. Hey, I can do that movement with my small DJI drone.
Yes, but nobody likes a show off,
This
Louis.
is the art era. Welcome to Kolugov.
Well, there's no, there's going to be many systems like that.
Yeah,
so
it's the
gives
market's
you-
full of them, isn't it? I mean, there's so many small boutique, bespoke drone manufacturers and people with ideas. The fallout is starting already, but it's going to be dramatic, isn't it? How many are going to be left at the end of this period in another 2 or 3 years? All these little startups that have had great ideas and just fallen by the wayside. There's going to be so much money going down the toilet.
But they're not attracting the money that the urban air mobility is, are they? I mean, and they are operating in the space that's going to stick around longer and be successful, in my humble opinion. The smaller sort of cargo space. When I say smaller, I mean up to 100 kilos, not particularly small. But they're not attracting the VC money. The VC funding isn't really getting there. It's getting there a little bit, but not in the way it is. For urban air mobility.
I know, because Whisk, I was looking at that Whisk video, they're talking about $1 per passenger mile as the retail end user cost of using their system. And then they're talking about 300 million miles a year flown by these things. If you've got 4 passengers, so that's $1.2 billion in revenue they're looking at. Really, seriously, I just don't see it.
Well, I've probably I've bored people enough with flying that Alia thing in the Beta Technologies Alia 250, which is very. And if you look at the company now, that company is actually focusing on cargo first, and that straight away is quite sensible. But the whole thing and the way they've constructed it is very, very sensible. But I still can't. If you fly around, if you stop and think of some useful places to go with them around London, because London's very hard to get across once traffic starts going, you would need a shed load of them to make a difference. And if it was really that practical, helicopters would be doing it already. All these sort of things spring to mind.
Look at São Paulo in Brazil. That many people fly. They all fly helicopters back and forward, so that the entire São Paulo area is a no-fly zone because of the amount of helicopters that fly there. So no planes can overfly in São Paulo, and drones, by the way. So,
but the predicted market is like, or the market that AAM would have us think is coming is like 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 100 times greater than all the helicopters out there in the world at the moment. I don't see how you can get up to that those numbers, and the certification requirements needed. It's nuts.
Certification's not a problem. You've got enough money. Look at Boeing. They got the Max 737 Max 8 certified. It wasn't a problem.
Brothers make a really pseudocephalon, slope-soaring helicopter. Yeah. Well, I actually found I watched enough videos to find out. So the Alia 250, 250 nautical miles, or 150 miles an hour. They can't actually make it go 150 miles an hour yet. It flies at 105 knots, which is interesting. So when the thing was descending, because I was trying to get it up to 150, it's because I was flying too fast. And its glide ratio is actually 17-1, so it's not too bad. It's better than the hang glider, but that's not 17-1. That's not too bad with all that spinny stuff hanging off it. They've done a very, very nice job of it, I think. And I'm biased because you can fly it in X-plane, but I have a feeling they might very well be the quietly getting on with it leader of the pack in the AAM field. I see that Lilium are putting videos out quick. It's eVTOL is not the way. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Well, you are right. Think flight. I think you are right. But I think electric STOL aircraft operating in and out of existing infrastructure, existing small airfields might be a good thing.
But do you really think electric anything in aviation is going to be good enough? Because we fly models, but we don't mind spending an hour recharging our batteries because we fly something else. We've got spare batteries. But manned aviation, every minute that craft sits on the ground is a minute you're losing money. That's the problem. We just don't have the endurance and the range and the turnaround times.
Well, they're putting up a series of charging stations, and they reckon there's 50 minutes is the time to charge the thing. But they're already putting
to refuel a petrol or jet powered.
Oh yeah. No, I completely get that. But surely, if you can have inductive charging, you could land on and top up enough around your route.
Inductive charge. Why waste all the energy? We're in an energy crisis. Can't go wasting energy with inductive charging.
Yes. It's hard to. It is hard to see it, isn't it? Every time you look, the Mosquito people that make that little single seat
helicopter
that'll kill you at the drop of a hat. They've got an electric conversion as well that's just come out with a 20-minute flight time. And it looks a bit of a cloud with the batteries.
All the electric stuff has a big problem that unless some crazy ass new technology comes along, it's the how do they store the energy that they will then spend for flying, moving, everything. Come on, it does not make any sense to buy one of these modern electric cars and then carry along one ton of batteries. Come on. It's crazy. Same for aircraft. Come on, the most effective batteries are still heavy, and the energy that you get from them has lots of wasted energy. You waste energy charging, you waste energy discharging. So many things.
What annoys me most at the moment is these airliners claiming, we've got our biofuel, we're carbon neutral. Do you know how much carbon it takes to make biofuel? It's not carbon neutral at all, And then they're all talking about hydrogen. We're going to have hydrogen-powered aircraft. Yeah, but it's going to be blue hydrogen from fossil fuels, and when they crack methane and massive amounts of CO2 liberated in the process. It's like, seriously, we just have to be pragmatic and say at the moment, hydrocarbon fuels are the most efficient way to engage in aviation, and we don't try wasting money and spending all this time doing stuff that will never succeed. Focus more on doing what we're doing now more efficiently.
Yeah.
Quite interesting that the hydrogen produced and one of the they use it in it's part of creating fertilizers. Is the same carbon footprint as aviation as doing. That shocks me, that little stat. So aviation is bad, but it's not as bad as people might think. No, graphene batteries, Jim. I think. What do we think?
They are almost here. They're just around the corner.
Just like saltwater batteries, they're just around the corner as well.
Yeah.
Well, they are, but they are
And-
there in China.
Aluminium
Tesla is
air,
in
zinc
China.
air, it's all there.
Yeah, and we've seen, and then universities came up with a new technology that enables to come up with the power from hot air and cold air, and
Hot air from their bottom.
Fusion will save
Any
us.
chance.
yeah. So
Fusion will save us. Only 10 years away.
Only
The
10
reality
years
is there's nothing going to replace lithium for a while.
I'm not so sure of that, Ian, because the demand for lithium is now so huge, and they're already
Lithium is
going-
one of the most abundant elements on the planet. The sea's full of it. All we got to do is extract it from there, and we're good to go.
Yeah, the problem is the extraction, as you know, Bruce.
I didn't say it'd be cheap.
No.
Yeah, or easy, or easy. Now the thing is, the technology is somewhere around the corner, has been around the corner for so many years, but it's not here. So we haven't seen any commercially viable breakthrough on battery technology. Everybody has a graphene. Every time that a new material comes up, we'll be building batteries of hot air, but nothing comes up.
It's always plenty
No,
of hot
they're
air
always-
batteries.
They're usually press releases made by companies that are looking for venture capital funding to explore an avenue, but they haven't got anywhere near commercialization. And the problem is these are incremental improvements as far as lithium-ion, graphene batteries. We've had graphene lipos for years, slightly better than normal ones, but it's not going to change the world.
Now and then, some of these technologies, yes, you can build viable batteries from them, but then the amount of instantaneous current that you can get from these batteries is even lower than lithium batteries. So you just can extract that for low power consumption devices. So you put one of those batteries in one of the clocks or something like that.
Yeah, it's all a trade-off. You either got good lifetime, that is many recharge cycles, or good current delivery, good energy density, or whatever. There's always the new technology that gives you 10 times as much capacity, but it's at a lower energy density, so you can have a much bigger battery, all that sort of stuff. It's just there's always a catch. There's always a I remember years ago, methanol or ethanol fuel cells were going to be the future, but they never were. Everything is always going to be the future. It's fusion. That's the secret.
What did you title that video that made me laugh? I've forgotten the title of it though. For your nitro powered planes, you titled it with a reference to batteries a couple of videos.
This is why we fly electric.
Yeah, or no, there was another one, wasn't there, about
I can't remember.
Well, yeah, before you had a very good title. It's all, as you say, it's venture capital stuff going, well, do this, look here. We're going to change the world, and it's all incremental. And that's the word I was searching for. It's physics, and that always gets in the way.
You can't change the laws of physics.
Can you change the laws of physics?
Yeah, physics has a habit of getting in the way. It really does.
Yeah. Oh, there's a beep there. What did you just blow up?
I was just firing up a soldier now in a minute. I've got something.
Excellent. Releasing blue smoke on.
No, I already did it. I electrified myself the other day on a power supply, and now it doesn't turn on. So,
how long did you take the charge? Were you rapid charging, or were you?
I was rapid charging. Yeah. It was completely powered down as well. It just one of the caps decided to buzz me.
Definitely not balanced
the
though.
cap buzzed me. It doesn't power on now, so it's let go of something. So I'm gonna have a quick look.
So there we go. That's probably actually a really good comment on that. Yeah, that is probably the not short.
Well, no, because the car industry, I've seen the videos. You can run your car on water, Just need a little jam jar with some water in it, and you run wires from the alternator, the generator, onto the thing, and it creates hydrogen, and that just gives you like 10 times the fuel economy. It must be true. I saw it on the internet, and the car companies are trying to suppress this information.
In the in honor of having any seen some spooky new drones? No, I haven't seen the raft of videos that will no doubt arrive shortly of people flying ghost.
We did have a
outpost.
flying witch on a broomstick in the media the other day. Did you see that one? Someone flew
No, I
a
didn't.
witch on a broomstick over some populous area. People reporting seeing this witch flying. You know, one of those models.
Good for them. I've always wanted to. The mountains at the back here are called the Dragons Mountains, and I've always wanted to fly. You see those RC pterodactyls that they have?
Yes,
It'd
like
be
in
good.
War Game. What was it? That one, the War Game movie? You know, what was it? Do you want to play a game? It had
that one.
Ali Shield. Yeah. That had one.
Okay,
The guy, one of
one.
the guys, they went up and he was flying it off a hill. I remember when I watched that movie the first time, I thought, "Wow, radio control model airplane in a movie? How good is that?"
Yeah. The right single seat that can do 2K miles, 2,000 miles, 170 miles. The mass is there. Single seat, really?
Single seat what? Single seat what?
Really?
Single seat what? Single seat glider?
Down a big hill, very big hill. Surely. Well, he's a clever man, aerodynamic sort of expert. So
Yeah.
The other problem with electric powered flight, which people don't, although it has been proven, is if you have a engine failure in a conventional aircraft, you glide to a landing, and fires in regular aircraft are not very common at all. I mean, if the engine conks out of the, not a problem. But there's already been one person died, I think it was in New Zealand, when their electric power assist, the little pop-up motor thing, the lipos in that caught fire, and he couldn't get to the ground in time to not be burnt to a crisp. So all these eVTOLs and things, what happens? They've got these redundant systems. What happens if the battery goes up? You're stuffed.
There's been quite a few incidents with the power systems. On
You just drop the batteries and then your vehicle gets so light that it floats.
Floats gently to the ground like a leaf in an autumn breeze.
Well, that's Alia they haven't done it, but there is sort of provision for that because the whole battery comes in underneath, so you might be able to pull a pin on it and go. But the computer
and then it is like the blocks from the toilets of the airplanes. Imagine one of those blocks falling.
Yes. But just imagine the CG change if you did that. Just imagine, and you're not going to have any. You're just going to have your aircraft controls, but just imagine. Oof.
But in an eVTOL with just rotors, you're not going to have anything. You've got nothing at all.
17-to-1 glide ratio. I mean, but they also say in one of the videos that if you have a failure of the VTOL motors, they reckon you need about 2,000 feet to get it into winged flight.
Yeah, but you're flying through an urban canyon in a big built-up big city.
Oh,
glide means nothing. It just means you're going to hit a building further away than if you fell straight down.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, but at least it's a chance. But if you need 2,000 feet to get it, then to get onto the wing, you're hanging around a long time at high altitude.
And they don't show you all these 3D renders and things. They're all flying through the buildings. They're all flying at a few hundred feet. They're not way up there. I mean, if you're going to go way up there, you might as well use a trebuchet.
Yeah, of course. Someone will crack it. But even if they do, I'm not convinced there's a use case for it. There's so few helicopters in the world. Fantastic millionaires
even Mr. Electric Car guy must be desperately trying to come up with a way to get a new way to store energy on the cars. And the moment he finds it, I'm not sure it will be the revolution we all hope for, but would be great.
But you got to realize that if you have, it's all about energy density, isn't it? And the more dense you make the energy, the more violent the failure mode. I mean, petrol's pretty good or gasoline's pretty good because you have to have the right stoichiometric ratio for it to ignite with any kind of force. But electricity, all you need is a short circuit or an internal failure, and it'll all come out at once, which is why these electric vehicle fires are so interesting compared to a normal car fire. Not many people die in a fireball in a car fire. If something happens, the fuel line breaks under the bonnet, you get flames and smoke, you get out and you walk away. But with an electric failure, it can be much more sudden, much more violent.
And apparently that's one of the issues, sort of one of the issues with hydrogen, because hydrogen just does its best to escape from whatever you put it in. And apparently the UK Fire Service has done some research where they leave it in a simulated garage overnight and they monitor the garage. And there was quite a large amount of hydrogen there in the morning. just hanging around.
And the stoic ratio of hydrogen is from 2% to 98%. It's incredibly wide.
Yes.
It'll explode under a wide range, whereas petrol, I think, is like 14.7 or something. And if it's outside by 10 or 12%, you just don't get the deflagration that you would otherwise get.
One of the things that when I did my fire prevention course, one of the things that you were taught was to put a cigarette butt on a piece of gasoline and it would not take fire.
But then do the same if you say propane's if it's 2% with air. If you let a propane link be at 2% and try that, and that won't look the same.
That does not look fine.
No, and that's why when that Glasgow when they filled that car with propane, that's why it didn't go off, because they filled the car, they filled it.
No air. But interesting, I read a thing the other day, I think it might have been to do with a hydrogen-powered aircraft. The pressures are storing the hydrogen at 700 bar. 700 bar, that's an explosion waiting to happen all on its own.
Yes, it's super expensive to make. It's not green at all. It's the last hurrah of the petrochemical industry, isn't it? Because they've got all the infrastructure that they've got to do something with that is about to just become a net liability. It's a positive thing on the books.
The idiot Greens in New Zealand, they want us to take our excess hydropower, use it to create hydrogen through electrolysis, and then export it. Can there be anything more or less efficient than that?
Thank you. Tell that to my government. To my government. Oh, we'll build so many wind turbines that then with the excess power we can do green hydrogen.
But that's the condition. That is the point at which it sort of starts making sense, when you do have so much energy that you can actually do it. But it's still massively wasteful way of using.
Even think about the amount of energy
you have.
Think about the amount of energy you have to use to take hydrogen at atmospheric pressure and compress it down to 700 bar to store it. You're putting in so much energy to compress that gas. Efficiencies go right out the door. And also, any kind of containment vessel for hydrogen is going to suffer from leakage, because the hydrogen molecules are so small, they just weave their way through the molecular structure of the containment vessel. They leak like a balloon. So at 700 bar, that leakage is quite appreciable. So if you fill a boat up with these 700 bar containers to send it halfway around the world, by the time it gets there, you've lost half your hydrogen again. So when you look at the net energy in versus energy out, it is atrociously inefficient.
Well, that's why I think only 2 or 3% of it is actually moved where it's needed. It's used right next door to where it's needed, or you site plants that need to use hydrogen next to where you make the hydrogen. I think it's a number certainly less than 5%. I think it's 3% of hydrogen is moved anywhere, and even if it's moved, it's not moved very far. So
you might as well just use that electricity to charge a battery in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a very pointless thing, and you'll know way more about it. And if even I've worked it out, then it must be pointless. So that's what
they could fill balloons with hydrogen and then take the whole balloon, like the Zeppelins, or the Hindenburg, all the way to the destination. So you kill two birds with one stone. You carry people, and your buoyancy would be your fuel at the other end.
Well, the only country in the world where hydrogen ballooning is really popular, or not really popular, it's absolute. It's like a millionaire sport. Hydrogen ballooning is Germany, because by law they do exactly that. They cite factory A uses hydrogen. Factory A makes hydrogen for factory B, C, and D, which are sited all the way around it, and they pipe it to that factory, and they'll put a line in between and a bit of a field, so when it's burning off hydrogen, or not, they're not using it on the weekend, the gas balloons can fill up for free. So it's the only country in the world where it's a really popular one. The other one that people are using in the ballooning world is ammonia, and that's really great until you kill all the plants where you land when you deflate. But
is ammonia lighter than air?
It's cheap to make as well. You can use
yes, NH, isn't it? NH2.
So I think so. NH2, NH2. I think. I think they just add water, but you don't, and you can only use the balloons twice or something like that, because they just corrode away. So that was the other way it got.
But no mold.
No mold. Absolutely none at all. Yeah, it's adiabatic cooling. Wow, we don't have some nerds here. That's very impressive. Oh, the audience here, people impress me no end with their knowledge. Now, look, we've gone over the hour. We started late, so I think it's probably time to go. Before we go, did anyone else see anything else? Going once. Ian's gone to sleep, which is, why not? Going
We should
twice.
be thankful. Yeah.
So should be thankful. Dear viewer, sorry for the late start because of
The very slow
power.
electricity in South Africa.
Very slow, very slow electricity. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's only coming from stations south of me, so I had to climb uphill. Yeah, there he is. He is indeed.
That way.
Exactly.
That way.
Sorry,
Yeah.
We thought DJI had succeeded there for a moment.
sorry.
Look after yourselves. Wherever you are in the world, dear viewer, we'll see you again, 2100 GMT next week. Take care. Be careful out there, people. Bye-bye.